All right, it's your instant movie review, Mike Messier, and the movie that I've just seen is titled Blockers, and it stars Leslie Mann, John Cena, and some other guy as three parents um, who kind of go through the course of their lives, and over. The movie has kind of a early point where they have three daughters amongst those three parents. None of those. Anyway, fucking way. To get to the point, I guess I'll just say spoiler alert. I'll try not to do too many spoilers. What do I think of this fucking movie? It's good, but not great. It's good, but not a classic. I think the fucking thing this movie's hanging its hat on is this is a teenage sex film from a girl's point of view, which that's fine. I like that. But the problem is, the situation is that this film script that I just saw with a friend titled fucking Blockers, which was originally titled Cherries, okay? Written by men. And they wrote this film from the dad's point of view. Originally, it was an all-male cast. Not an all-male cast, but the parents were all male, like three guys trying to stop their teenage daughters from having sex from the father's point of view. Now, basically what happened is they kind of PC'd this thing up, the studios, and said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we really had the girl's point of view, or why, if it's a teenage sex movie, it should be from the kid's point of view, and female empowerment, and make one of the parents a woman. And so they got Leslie Mann, the standby, and she's fine. I have no issues with her. I used to, but I get over it. And then they said, well, let's make one of the, spoilers, let's make one of the girls lesbian, because we should do that. So the point of the fucking matter is, none of these issues or none of these plot points, I've got no problem with that, except it shows in the movie. Basically what I'm saying is the movie is kind of divided within itself. If you watch this movie, and maybe it's just because I knew that going in, you can kind of see that the point of view or the sympathy or where you're supposed to be cheering or who's supposed to support this movie. I mean, it's a I don't know if it was PG-13 or rated R, I can't remember, but in the movie theater was a bunch of teenage girls, probably 14 or 15-year-old girls in there. And I don't know, it's kind of one of those things where the content is about them. It's about, a couple of years older than them, but more or less them. But are they old enough to see a movie that's pretty much about girls their age? I don't know. I don't have the answers to these things. But within the content of the movie, at least from my perspective, you can see the writing conflict, how the point of view or the sympathy points kind of waver, and they're all over the place, and you don't really know, as an audience member, if they're trying to get you to cheer for the kids, yeah, kids fuck, or cheer for the parents, don't let them fuck, or, and so it's a thing where there's not really an antagonist or a bad guy, because everybody's very good, in a sense. There's redemption for everybody, but it's like it's just a hard movie, at least for me, knowing that this thing, the original title of the movie was called Cherries, okay, not Blockers, and that's back when it was from the father's point of view. So you're seeing a movie that has script issues, and being around the goddamn block a few times, when you see a movie that is divided amongst itself, then what you get is, what part of the movie did you like? You don't get whether the movie itself was actually good. You get, what actor did okay, or what scene was funny, or maybe this person will do something else. And that's kind of what we had with this. It's not a piece of shit film. It's good, but it's not great. The young actresses playing the three female leads were all very good. They were all funny, and they kind of did, which I was fine with or happy for. They did multicultural casting and non-traditional casting, I guess you'd call it. But ultimately, I think this movie just suffered through that. Whatever the guys that originally wrote the script intended was probably just a yuck fest. And I don't know if that script was funnier than this or not. But they probably just wrote it as Owen Wilson and that guy you always see him acting with. The guy from that other movie, the Finding the movie that they just did where they find the father. That guy that's in everything. Like, take any two guys from The Hangover, or three guys from The Hangover, put them as the dads, and you have this fucking originally intended cherries. Now with Blockers, and you got Leslie Mann, and like I said, I used to have issues with Leslie. My friend that went to this movie with me, she had issues with Leslie Mann's voice. She was disgruntled or upset every time Leslie Mann spoke, and I couldn't quite understand it. But any fucking way. John Cena, for you wrestling fans, he's in this thing. Nice to see Cena. I met Cena a couple of times. He was nice enough. I'll tell my Cena story someday, but nice to see Cena. He did fine. He made a lot of self-referential jokes about his appearance and so forth. There was a lot of, my friend pointed out a lot of script points or holes. Spoiler alert. There's a scene where all the kids puke and throw up, and then in the next scene they're all wearing the same clothes and they all look fine. Or like one of the kids, the blonde girl's in a different outfit, but everyone else is wearing their same dresses they all just puked on, and there's no puke or there's no splotches of cold water. So there's also a thing where they're chasing around their kids all night, yet they're the ones that hired the limousine driver that's driving the kids around. And they never established that the limousine driver turned his phone off or has a no phone policy when he's working or something. So it's like, why are you chasing around the kids trying to find them when all you got to do is fucking call the limousine driver? So my friend Kim pointed that out effectively. So on and so forth. I would say once again, it's a good but not great movie. I think it's another movie that, wants to hang its hat on, this is female empowerment. But it's like, you still have to make a good movie. You can't just take your run-of-the-mill American Pie wannabe sex comedy or middle-aged dad angst, Owen Wilson and somebody else, C. Thomas Riley or somebody movie, and then just fucking throw a female writer on it and a female director, which is what it has, and try to make this a female empowerment thing. Like, the move is to fucking have a female writer write the original script. That's the move. I mean, do that. That's why, say, when, was her name, Heckling, was the director of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and then a generation later, Clueless. I don't know if she wrote those scripts as well as directing, but she was, spearheading those projects. That's why they were effective. With this, it kind of feels like a ragtag, bunch of bone, thrown together stuff, and some of it works and some of it doesn't. It's not god-awful, but it's not great. I mean, there's definitely a sense of, watching this movie, you see the disconnect between the parents and the kids are texting with emojis and so forth. So you kind of get into that whole realm of how society is changing with communication and so forth. I'm driving on this fucking road that's like in fucking Beirut. So the point of the matter is, no offense to Beirut, should you go see Blockers? I don't know. I mean, I think it's a deal where if single moms or single dads or married parents want to take their teenage daughter to see this fucking thing as a gateway to a conversation about sexuality and the prom and should you or shouldn't you and blah, blah, blah. All those issues that I don't have to deal with because I don't have kids. But if maybe this is the best way that like an awkward parent who has a hard time talking to their kid about these issues can use Blockers as a conduit for conversation. That's about all I can think of. As far as does it stand up on its own? Hey, look, I saw this movie on a Wednesday night. It's not going to kill me one way or the other. It's something to do. Had pleasant company. But I can't say that it's not the Blues Brothers. It's not, name your favorite classic comedy. It's not Richard Pryor and Silver Streak or whatever the fuck. It's this. This is what it is. And so once again, it's like, Hollywood needs better scripts. I've got tons of scripts that are better than this. But, that's another story. So, Blockers is worth seeing, but just marginally. But the actresses across the board, I would give them a lot of credit. The teenage actresses. Leslie Mann, if you ever saw This Is 40, she kind of earned her stripes with me in that. I'm driving on this god-awful road. Oh my God. John Cena was funny. I mean, he's got a sense of humor about himself. My friend liked the non-John Cena actor, but there was a lot of things. It just felt like what I think this movie suffered in. Having read this article, I think in Rolling Stone or wherever the fuck I read it, Time or somewhere, about the female director of this movie, and she's explaining how the script came to be. It just really felt to me like I felt, and I haven't seen the original script, obviously, Cherries, but it felt like that was probably a funny haha script. And what they try to do is, in a bunch of script rewrites and studio meetings and fucking analytics, they tried to make this movie more than a comedy. Oh, add the lesbian kid. Oh, add the multicultural. Oh, add the divorced dad with his sob story monologue halfway through the movie. So you had all these fucking bullet points, and I'm just saying that, and I'm not coming from left field with this. Having read this article about this movie and how it went from Cherries to Blockers, it's almost like you can see how they try to orchestrate this all-encompassing fucking thing about all these issues with childhood or teenagehood or going to college or whatever the fuck, having sex. But at the end of the day, if you want to do an after-school special or a Sermon on the Mount, do that. But if you're going to have a fucking comedy, yuck yuck, then you stick with the comedy yuck yuck, folks. So you can't be all things to all people. And I think Blockers ultimately suffers from its own ill-conceived pursuit of recognition or pursuit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Altruism, or trying to be like this morality tale. I mean, Christ. Anyway, my fucking flash is off. But basically, should you see this movie or not? Go see it if you want. I don't care. It's your money. If you might want to get Movie Pass and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't a great movie. That's MikeMessier.com and everything else. Blockers. I saw it.